Once again, we're joined by Tracy Vreeke from the Door County Library. It's the final week of Door County Reads, and this year's book was American Dervish, and we've heard about it before, but Tracy, tell us a little bit more about American Dervish, the book.
The book American Dervish is written by Ayad Akhtar, and he is a Muslim American who grew up in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. He's living in New York at the moment, but spent all of his childhood and still has family in Milwaukee. And the book is a coming-of-age story, and it is much about what it's like to grow up Muslim American in America and struggle with the cultural differences and struggle with learning and accepting your faith and what your faith means and what your faith means to you in your living environment where you live. So good book, I would say. Most people have really enjoyed it, and it has led to some great discussions.
Now, this book has kind of challenged readers on two different cultural fronts. Last week we talked about, people learning a little bit more about the Islam culture, the Muslim culture. This week a little bit more focused with the Pakistani culture. And Tracy, just through reading this book and maybe experiencing some of the different presenters, what have you learned maybe personally about the Pakistani culture?
Well, I've learned a lot, actually. It's interesting. It's an area that I think many people don't know much about. We hear what we hear in the news. The author's parents and the parents from the book are from Pakistan and come to America. And what I've learned and what we're focusing on is it's really a rich cultural heritage. There's beautiful dance and music and delicious food. A lot of the Pakistani culture and the Muslim culture is responsible for quite a few arts and science. So a lot behind that culture. So that's been fun and interesting to learn about.
And you're going to be, as a part of this final week of Door County Reads, it all kind of ends with a big multicultural event. Tell us a little bit more about that.
That will be at Crossroads at Big Creek on Saturday from 1 until 3, and it's a family event. And Kagan Haringa will be talking about the Muslim-Islam contribution to the sciences. We have Andrea from Andrea's Dancing on the Door, who is going to be there teaching Pakistani dance and Pakistani costume. We'll have some Pakistani music. We'll have someone there from the UW Extension making Pakistani tea, which is quite a process. It's not just putting a tea bag in a cup in the microwave like we do here in America quite often. So we'll have some of that for tasting, some Pakistani snacks for tasting for the kids, some beautiful art coloring pages. So it should be a really fun and interesting event.
And heading into that event, what's maybe the biggest question you've heard from people reading this book, or just curious, what's maybe the biggest question that people have asked about the Pakistani culture?
Well, I think more so than just the Pakistani culture is people have wondered about the Islam religion and the Muslim faith and how to separate the structural faith from the cultural faith, because there are differences in how Islam is practiced in different countries and in different areas. So I think that part of it has been interesting, that there is often different practices of the faith depending upon the cultural area.
And if you haven't checked out American Dervish, you can still do so. Just because Door County Reads is ending this week doesn't mean that you can't pick up a copy. Are there copies at the libraries?
We're getting a few back now and then, so it's worthwhile to check. We also have a number of them in the system, but it's a great book. I would highly recommend putting it on your reading list for any time of the year.
Well, it's always sad when Door County Reads ends, but it's always a good time to pick up a book. So, Tracy, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks, Ted.